A newscast tonight. The Korean government plans to exempt companies involved in selected projects from preliminary economic assessments. There are 23 such projects focused on improving traffic and logistics networks, as well as nurturing region-specific industries. Another survivor of Japan's wartime sexual enslavement passed away. Kim Bok-dong devoted her life to increasing awareness of Tokyo's crimes and became the first wartime sex slavery victim to share her testimony at the World Conference on Human Rights. 40 Korean companies that were part of the 2019 Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas launched their own version of the tech fair for local spectators. Visitors can check out the amazing products at Seoul's Dongdaemun Design Plaza. News Center begins now. It's 8 p.m. here in Korea, live from our studio in Seoul. This is Arirang News Center. Welcome to our program. Daniel Chen. The South Korean government normally checks to see whether and how big projects will impact the economy. 23 large-scale projects will be exempt from such a process, a move that's looked to help achieve balanced regional development and revitalize regional economies. Choi Seong has our top story.
Economic viability tests are conducted on projects that get more than about $26 million in government funds. But for these, the government will waive the assessments in the interest of helping less developed regions of the country catch up. The projects are focused on two things: improving traffic and logistics networks across the country and nurturing regional industries. All 23 of them together will cost about $21 billion. Nearly half of the spending is for high-speed railway and highway construction to improve traffic and logistics networks across the country. That includes building new railways between the Seoul metropolitan area and the southeastern Gyeongsang-do provinces. Another high-speed railway will bridge northeastern Gangwon-do province and the southwestern Jeollado provinces. There will also be a railway built along the east coast connecting Gangwon-do province and Gyeongsangbuk-do province. Another chunk of expenses will go to projects specific to industries in each region. The city of Gwangju will host complexes for the AI industry. The surrounding Jeollado provinces will get a new fish farm dedicated to exports. To the east, the city of Ulsan will have a new public hospital for serious illnesses, and Jeju-do will modernize its sewage facilities. Announcing these plans, the government admitted that achieving balanced regional development and revitalizing regional economies will require cooperation.
It's highly important that we have not only the efforts of regional municipalities, but also the interests of the people.
The 23 projects will be carried out through 2029. Choi Seong, Arirang News.
Latest data released by the Korea Economic Research Institute shows local companies are pessimistic about overall business conditions for next month. The report pointed out low domestic demand and uncertainties in exports as the key contributing factors. Go Ryuni provides a closer look.
According to the Korea Economic Research Institute on Tuesday, local firms have a grim outlook for the nation's economy in February. Based on a survey of the top 600 companies in terms of sales, the business sentiment forecast for next month hit 81.1, the lowest forecast since the aftermath of the global financial crisis in 2009. A reading below 100 means they're more pessimists about the local economy than optimists. The institute pointed to reasons at home and abroad for the bleak outlook. Businesses were worried over weak domestic demand, meaning many aren't willing to invest in facilities or construction. This comes after a rise in labor costs, stemming from the more than 10% increase in the minimum wage in 2019. Another big reason came from concerns over export conditions. Last week, Chinese officials announced that China's economy expanded by 6.6% in 2018, the lowest figure since 1990. This has negatively affected Korean companies' sentiment, with many firms relying heavily on exports to China. The institute added that reports about the decrease in exports also played a role. According to the Korea Customs Service, exports were down almost 15% on-year in the first 20 days of January. This is mainly due to a fall in chip shipments, which declined almost 30%. The situation for small and medium-sized businesses isn't looking great either. According to a separate report by the Korea Federation of SMEs, the business sentiment outlook among these firms for February was at its lowest since 2015. The report also pointed to the rise in labor costs and concerns over exports. To improve the current situation, researchers point to the importance of the government producing tangible results in its deregulation and innovative growth policies. 고르니, Arirang News.
On Monday, South Korea's Agriculture Ministry confirmed an outbreak of foot-and-mouth disease in Ansong. There's another report coming in of a suspected outbreak of that virus. The government is taking preventive measures to try and halt the spread. So Bobin gets us up to speed with the developments.
Another suspected outbreak of foot-and-mouth disease was reported at a cow farm in Ansong, Gyeonggi-do Province on Tuesday, just a day after the government had confirmed the outbreak of the disease in the area. The owner of the cow farm reported a suspected outbreak after seeing 3 or 4 of the 97 cows on their farm showing symptoms of the disease. Local authorities have been putting quarantine measures in place in Ansong after the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs confirmed the first outbreak at a dairy farm on Monday. The ministry has culled 120 cows at the farm where the disease broke out. There is also a 24-hour lockdown in place on all farm animals within 3 kilometers of the affected farm, which will continue until 8:30 p.m. Tuesday. The lockdown applies to 89 farms and affects about 5,000 animals in total. The ministry says at least 1.4 million cows and pigs in the neighboring areas will be vaccinated as well. With the Lunar New Year coming up, the ministry claimed it needs to take strong preventive measures to stop the disease from getting out of control. 서보빈, Arirang News.
Last night, another Korean survivor of the Japanese military's wartime sex slavery passed away. Kim Bok-dong devoted her life to increasing global awareness of Tokyo's past atrocities and fighting for girls who were victimized during wars. Lee Ji-won provides a look back at how she lived.
93-year-old Kim Bok-dong, who was sexually enslaved by Japan during World War II, died Monday night after a battle with cancer. For 30 years, Kim had fought tirelessly for women's rights and to raise awareness of Japan's wartime sexual slavery. Her 3-day funeral, which started Tuesday, was attended by hundreds of mourners, including President Moon Jaein, who became the first sitting president to go to the funeral of one of the sex slavery victims. Kim's last moments were shared by the head of a Korean civic group called Justice and Remembrance for the issues of military sexual slavery by Japan. She said Kim asked her to never give up fighting until the issue is resolved. At the age of 14, Kim was taken away by Japanese soldiers and told she would work in a factory. But instead, she was forced to serve as a sex slave for Japanese troops in China, Hong Kong, Indonesia, and other places. It was only after 8 years that she could return to her homeland. In 1992, Kim started sharing her painful stories and became an activist for women's human rights. In 1993, Kim became the first victim to share the facts of Japan's sexual slavery at the World Conference on Human Rights. She continued her activism by meeting with affected individuals and international groups, participating in protests and creating funds to help girls who have been sexually abused in wars like she was. But after all those years, she died without a sincere apology from Japan.
We will continue protesting until Japan sincerely apologizes and compensates the victims.
Her protest against Japan will continue even after her death. On Friday, her coffin will be carried through Seoul, including the streets in front of the Japanese embassy. Kim passed away the same day as another victim, a 93-year-old woman known to the media only by her surname Lee, who had suffered from poor health. In 1947, at the age of 17, Lee had been kidnapped on her way home from work and taken to work in brothels. There are now only 23 South Korean victims still alive, but their wishes for legal compensation and a sincere apology from Japan have yet to come. Seoul and Tokyo agreed under the previous Park administration to set up a foundation to help the victims. But because the 2015 deal did not reflect the victims' wishes, Seoul informed Tokyo last November that it would be disbanding the group. Last week, it officially canceled its approval of the foundation, prompting protests from Japan. South Korea remains firm that it will neither renegotiate nor scrap the deal, but it continues to urge Japan that to solve this problem will require more sincere efforts. 이지원, Arirang News.
The nation's defense ministry said it is open to dialogue with Japan to resolve the continuing spats. The dispute between the two sides, carried on for several weeks now, is over the low-altitude flybys performed by Japanese patrol aircrafts near South Korean warships. Spokesperson Choi Hyun-soo said during Tuesday's regular press briefing that the ministry reiterates its position that the two countries need to discuss the matter through a working-level panel based on objective and scientific evidence. She stressed Seoul is open to the option of U.S. mediation over the matter if necessary, as South Korea agrees the issue should be resolved through objective dialogue. Meanwhile, senior foreign affairs and defense officials of Seoul, Washington, and Tokyo are expected to meet in Japan this week. According to South Korea's foreign ministry, its Director General for North American Affairs, Kim Tae-jin, is slated to visit the UN Command's Yokota Air Base and Yokosuka Naval Base in Japan for 2 days at the end of this month. UN Command Chief of Staff Mark Gillette will accompany him. Kim may also meet his Japanese counterpart to resolve the growing tensions between the two countries. An official from South Korea's Ministry of Foreign Affairs concluded a trip to the U.S. where bilateral talks on North Korea took place. Lee Dong-yeol, the Director General for the Korean Peninsula Peace Regime Bureau and a member of the South Korea-U.S. Working Group, ended a 3-day trip to Washington on Tuesday. Included in his agenda were talks on cross-border projects such as a video reunion for war-torn families and the provision of 200,000 doses of Tamiflu to the regime by South Korea. The official said the two sides discussed other diplomatic issues, but easing international sanctions against Pyongyang was not on the table. Seoul and Washington are reportedly also working on fixing the next date for a face-to-face meeting of their bilateral working group. The 2019 Consumer Electronics Show, where some 4,500 companies across the globe showcased their latest products and innovations, was a huge success. And for local tech fans who couldn't fly over to the States, Korean firms are holding their own version of CES right here in the nation. Won Jung-hwan turns the spotlight to some of the items that received global attention in Las Vegas that are on display here in Seoul.
Some 40 Korean companies that took part in the recent Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas launched their own version of the show on Tuesday for consumers here at home for 3 days. At Seoul's Dongdaemun Design Plaza, they showed off their latest devices, almost all of them featuring artificial intelligence, and some of the standouts, including robots, smart homes, and smart cars. LG Electronics, which won a total of 132 awards at CES, unveiled the world's first production-ready TV that you can roll up, the first time it's brought out the production on home soil. The 65-inch OLED screen disappears into a long box that houses its embedded speakers. For visitors seeing it with their own eyes, it clearly made an impression.
This is really new to me. I never imagined an electronic device that can be folded or rolled up. I'm a painter and I always have to carry a big laptop with me, so I look forward to someday having a laptop with this technology.
There was also a concept car for Samsung Electronics featuring what the company calls a digital cockpit system, which it introduced at CES. The system offers IoT solutions that improve a car's connectivity, safety, and convenience. And Samsung expects the platform to be available in cars by around 2021.
I feel like I'm living in the future. You can see where people are without using the side mirrors. And if you put your mobile phone in the case in the front, your car's own screen will display what's on your phone.
The digital cockpit also supports car-to-home interactions, allowing drivers to check what's inside their fridge or to just start up the washing machine, basically everything while sitting at the driver's seat. The event also featured a number of local startups, anticipating developments that could put Korea at the head of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Won Jung-hwan, Arirang News.
One of the visitors at Dongdaemun Design Plaza was President Moon Jaein. While checking out Seoul's version of the CES, he encouraged those leading the nation's journey into the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Hwang Woo-jun shares with us the South Korean leader's remarks.
President Moon Jaein on the 2019 Consumer Electronics Show that took place in Las Vegas earlier this month said it was a moment that South Korea displayed to the world its advanced innovation in electronics and in the IT sector, a moment to be proud of.
4차 산업혁명 시대에서도 우리의 ICT 산업이 세계 시장을 선도할 수 있겠다는 그런 자신감을 또 보여준 일이었습니다. 혁신 한국의 저력 그리고 또 우수성을 이렇게 증명해 준 우리 기업인 여러분들께 축하와 감사 인사를 드립니다.
The president's remarks were made during a special kickoff ceremony of the Korea Electronics IT Industry Convergence Exhibition, a 3-day showcase of products that were initially introduced during the Las Vegas CES. The attendees included government officials, business leaders, college students, and power bloggers. Moon congratulated the nation's companies that won 71 CES Innovation Awards, highlighting how 6 of the 71 awards were given to Korean startups and that small and medium-sized businesses were also recognized at the global event. President Moon said through such accomplishment, Korea has proved its strength and excellence and that the nation's ICT business can take the lead in the global market in the upcoming Fourth Industrial Revolution. President Moon expressed his gratitude for the companies holding a domestic exhibition to showcase their products so that the public can witness the nation's innovation without having to travel to Las Vegas. After a speech, President Moon held a closed-door discussion session with business leaders on global trends of ICT innovation and ways to revitalize Korea's manufacturing industry. The meeting was then followed by a tour where President Moon got to have a hands-on experience with about 10 products that were initially released in CES 2019, including but not limited to K-pop dance games using motion sensors, VR simulator robots, IoT-based safety protection suits, and state-of-the-art televisions. Hwang Ho-jun, Arirang News.
South Korea ranks 45th out of 180 countries in the Corruption Perceptions Index report last year, released by Transparency International. It shows countries based on the level of corruption of the country's public sector. Seoul scored 57 points in 2018, up 3 extra points from the year prior. 70 and up are considered generally clean, while 50 or above means not entirely corrupt. The Cheongwade said the result of the report, the highest figure in Korea's history, is a reflection of the Moon administration's push for an all-out effort to eradicate corruption. Despite the improvement, Korea still ranks 30th out of 36 OECD members. We have less than a month before South Korea's main opposition party holds its national convention. One high-profile figure, a former prime minister, grabbed attention by throwing his hat in the ring. Kim Mo-kyun zooms in on how things are shaping up for the big event on February 27th.
No matter what difficulties we might face, I will always work with my fellow members to defend the party. I will devote my life to saving the country and its people, and to open a new era in Korean politics.
That's what the former prime minister said as he declared his candidacy Tuesday at Liberty Korea Party headquarters. He promised to revive the nation's economy and lead the party to victory in next year's parliamentary elections. He also stressed that he wants to scrap the current government's income-led growth policy and its nuclear-free energy policy, which he said are destroying the country. Hwang was prime minister from 2015 to 2017, and he served as acting president when former President Park Geun-hye was impeached in late 2016 for corruption and abuse of power. But he was never a member of the party until this month. Because of his experience in public service, some welcome him as party leader, but others think he was involved in political scandals under the previous administration. With Hwang's announcement, the leadership race starts in earnest. Other strong candidates are set to announce this week, starting with former LKP party chairman Hong Jun-pyo on Wednesday and former Seoul City Mayor Oh Se-hoon the following day. The main opposition party's national convention takes on extra significance this time around in the wake of crushing defeats in the most recent presidential and local elections. The party's new chairman will be tasked with healing the party's factional divide and restoring the conservative parties, which had ruled the country for nearly a decade before President Moon. Kim Mo-kyun, Arirang News.
Today marks 1 year since a female prosecutor publicly accused an influential senior official of sexually harassing her, triggering the MeToo movement here in Korea. To commemorate the anniversary, a discussion on gender issues and sex crimes was held at the National Assembly. Yoon Jung-min has the full story.
To commemorate the one-year anniversary of the MeToo movement in Korean society, a roundtable talk was held at the National Assembly on Tuesday to discuss how society has changed and where to go next. Lawmakers and figures from culture, sports, and other fields attended, including female prosecutors Ho Ji-hyun, whose revelations of sexual harassment by a senior official at the Justice Ministry triggered the MeToo movement in the country last January.
I believe sexual crimes are not a personal issue, but a collective issue, and it's a sort of a Holocaust committed on women and the weak. The MeToo movement is not about something special. It's about declaring that we wouldn't stay silent anymore, and that we urge society to punish perpetrators properly and protect victims properly.
Tuesday marks 1 year since Seoul raised accusations against senior official An Tae-geun in front of the media. Last week, An was sentenced to 2 years in prison. The accusation last year sent a shockwave through Korean society, spreading from politics to culture, education, and sports, with a series of allegations following throughout the year. A political heavyweight stepped down, and a renowned filmmaker and a famous poet were also disgraced due to these accusations. Recently, several former and current elite sport coaches were accused of similar acts. Such a move did bring some change. Punishments became stricter and more laws were passed, but the panel said the mindset of the public needs to change and pointed out that society is still too lenient on the perpetrators and neglects the victims.
The public tends to focus more on the victims rather than the perpetrators. Also, there's the possibility of revenge, like a criminal ring. We try to hear voices from victims, but sometimes that's not easy. We hope the government will do more to help them.
The MeToo movement has unleashed a greater discussion of gender issues in Korean society over the past year. The roundtable talks aim to bring a better, healthier society free from the kinds of violations that came to light during the movement. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
Time to turn to Michelle back at the Weather Center for the updates you need. Michelle, the air was decent in Seoul, but I hear we need to brace for some turnaround, unfortunately.
Yes, Daniel, now there's always a chance it'll get dusty when the weather is mild. Now, the capital and the surrounding areas will be under high levels of fine dust the whole day tomorrow, but for the southern regions, only in the morning. Now, Wednesday afternoon will be as warm as today, but it's going to get very cloudy, even for the nearby countries. Now, meanwhile, there's also a chance of rain over in Jeju in the late afternoon. Now, this rain is expected to expand across the nation on Thursday, though, except over in the capital areas. The East Coast will get up to 8 centimeters of snow, while most of the southern regions will get between 1 and 5 centimeters. The morning temperatures will be about 2 to 3 degrees higher than the seasonal average, so starting today at -3 degrees Celsius. And the mercury rises into the day, so it will rise up to 7 degrees, while many parts of the southeast areas will even make it into the low teens. Now, looking at the rest of this week, there's another cold spell over on Friday and nationwide rain over on Sunday. I'll leave you with the weather conditions around the world.
That's all from us on tonight's edition of Arirang News Center. As always, thank you for watching.